keeping an eye on Europe's farthest southeastern fringes. Police officers from the European Union's monitoring mission in Georgia scan the countryside in the breakaway province of South Ossetia for evidence of unsanctioned military activity. A year after Georgia's brief conflict over South Ossetia, the officers find plenty of cause for suspicion.
There's some square thing up there. That's where we saw BMPs last time. And I think they're still there. I'm sure there are BMPs there.
Each side continues to blame the other for starting the war in August 2008. The Georgians claim they were defending themselves against a string of unprovoked attacks in preceding months. South Ossetians claim Georgian forces invaded their territory. Hundreds of people were killed in fighting that lasted no more than a week after Russian forces came to the support of their South Ossetian allies. For the European Union, Georgia is a bridgehead between Europe and Asia, a friendly, democratic nation in a strategically vital but volatile area. It lives with long-running territorial disputes in South Ossetia and in the coastal province of Abkhazia. Both have declared sovereign independence from Georgia. In its fastest ever response to a conflict, the EU deployed 200 peace monitors to areas just outside both.
It's daily security for the people, for example, who live in the vicinity of the administrative boundary line. That's one thing. The other thing is where we are working, on which we spend a lot of our working time, is confidence building. And on confidence building, I feel we are making slow progress. Nobody can yet say where it leads, but I think you can never, and we are just doing whatever we can.
The mission's brief is to monitor the situation as it stabilizes, including troop withdrawal to pre-conflict lines and respect for the rule of law. It does this through regular meetings with the local police, who provide information on any movement across the boundary line, and with the Georgian Interior Ministry forces manning checkpoints. The mission also seeks to build the confidence of local people, a one-sided affair so far, as monitors are prevented from entering South Ossetia and Abkhazia. On the Georgian side, however, their presence is well received. If the political consequences of the war are set to last, so too will its impact on the lives of tens of thousands of people. This is the Tserovani settlement just outside Tbilisi, housing families displaced from their homes in South Ossetia and from territory inside Georgia just beyond the province. It was partly funded by the European Union. Many people, like Tamar Gerkenashvili, initially believed Georgia was winning the war, but fled when they realized their mistake. They hope the EU's friendly ties with Georgia will help them get back to their villages.
It's good that we have support from abroad. The more friends we have, the better the chances we have to return to our homes with their support.
Hamlet Petuashivili is less sure after his house was looted and then burned. This is in Karaleti, a village just outside South Ossetia, occupied by Russian and South Ossetian forces until the EU-brokered ceasefire led to their withdrawal. The EU is pressing them to leave other occupied areas fringing Abkhazia and South Ossetia in compliance with the ceasefire agreement.
My wife and daughter haven't even been back here since the war. They have no desire to see the ruins of our house, and frankly, I don't want them to. One of our neighbors got a heart attack and died when she saw this.
It all feels far removed from the capital, Tbilisi. Like much of the rest of Georgia, this is a city of unique charm and long cultural and religious heritage. The potential for a thriving tourist industry is obvious. It looks like Europe and feels like Europe. And for many people, like television producer Maya Tskalauri, it should be part of Europe's extended family of nations. She supports her university studies in journalism with a modest income from the independent station TV Maestro.
I see that the young people are studying around me. They are trying to change something. They want to learn more, and they want to live in a good country. They want to be happy, and I think that it's a reason that I can be optimistic. I think that everything will be okay, of course, if we will be together and if we will build our country together.
The path, however, is strewn with obstacles and contradictions to the priorities shared by EU members, and not just the recent war and dispute with Russia. The internal political campaign by the opposition to oust the president, Mikhail Saakashvili, has replaced the euphoria of the Rose Revolution he led in 2003. The opposition accuses him of making a gross miscalculation in his decision to go to war against Russia and South Ossetian militias.
The country which has a real possibility to be a real democratic country and member of European family became a country with an autocratic regime.
For months now, the main street in Tbilisi has been blocked by protesters and what they've made to look like prison cells. Under the leadership of Mr. Saakashvili, they say, Georgia itself has become a prison in which human rights, the justice system and media freedoms are routinely abused. Enter into the political fray Giorgi an artist turned protest showman. He built a cell at an independent television station from where he stages daily shows, railing against the president and a government which he says have failed to advance democracy in Georgia. Mr. Gerkenashvili lives in the cell day in and day out, closely observed by multiple cameras. His program is one of the most watched in Georgia.
He plays the role of the good guy, trying to have the image abroad of a true democrat. But inside this country, he does terrible things.
The European Union, like others nurturing democracy in Georgia, sees the independence of the media as a key barometer of progress and democratic intent. It argues that whatever flaws there may be on the road to democracy, it all takes time.
I don't think you can move a country from the Soviet system to a fully fledged democracy during a coffee break. The biggest challenge is still to enforce the reforms underway in the judiciary. It has to establish a system where the parliament plays a stronger role in society. And certainly we have criticized many times that media freedom needs to be strengthened.
The government hotly disputes the opposition's version of events and claims it's pursuing the democratic mission of the Rose Revolution, including integration with European structures.
We're a young country, the radical reforms in this country started from 2004, and 4 years is not enough to consolidate our democratic institutions. But when people speak about freedom of speech or freedom of media in this country, it's really strange. I mean, you can have a just simple test. Just switch on TV and watch the programs, where opposition has all the opportunity to express their ideas, to express their views, to share with the public their programs and their further and future development.
The government also holds up reform of institutions like the criminal justice system and the police as evidence of its radical political program. 5 years ago, the police were distrusted across the country as deeply corrupt and self-serving. Now, with massive investment in salaries, equipment and training, they're seen by many as a police service for the people.
These days, we are fighting crime effectively, maintaining civil order and conducting crime prevention operations. We are trying to serve the people.
Georgia is a country roughly the size of the Republic of Ireland, with a population of around 4.5 million to match. Yet its location close to the oil and gas fields of the Caspian Basin make it a strategic energy corridor, vital to the region's and Europe's future economic interests. The Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan oil pipeline runs through Georgian territory. Owned by an international conglomerate, it's been pumping 1 million barrels of oil a day to Western markets since 2005. The Nabucco gas pipeline, transporting Caspian Sea gas from Georgia and Iran, has been approved and is due to start pumping billions of cubic meters of gas to European consumers from 2014.
You never know if this unique supplier or the biggest supplier monopolizing your energy imports, how will behave in the future. That's, I think, European Union's far-reaching strategy to find and to provide alternative routes of supply for energy resources.
With its involvement in Georgia's energy infrastructure, the EU also aims to prevent regional conflict. Here on the border with Russia, the EU has installed equipment to measure the flow in a Russian pipeline taking gas south to Armenia. Energy transit countries like Georgia and Ukraine have been accused recently of siphoning off Russian gas en route to other markets. The EU calculates that monitoring in and outflows should remove the pretext for dispute. It's a little-known fact among connoisseurs that evidence of man's first production of wine traces back to Georgia and its neighbours. Georgia has been a prodigious producer of wine, most of it going to the former Soviet Union, at least until Russia froze imports recently as the dispute between the two intensified. Georgia was left with a major hole in its economy. Wine exports account for millions of euros in revenue. Here the EU has stepped in with programs to help Georgia fashion its wine to suit the taste and purse of Europe's consumers, and so eventually open up to new markets.
Georgian wine has a great chance to find a small niche in European market and to serve as a good novelty and discovery with exceptional style, unique grape varieties completely unknown before and used ever since about 7,000 years ago. But we should not hope more than that.
Agriculture is a mainstay of the Georgian economy and a key area of involvement for the EU, guiding self-help development in rural areas. Healthy economy, stable politics is the principle at stake. A series of farm support programs, in which otherwise unemployed farmers pool resources in cooperatives, has transformed the fortunes of several communities. Youngsters perform a routine marking the opening of their refurbished community hall. Distinctively Georgian, the dance transmits energy and grace and would sit comfortably in any European repertoire. Georgian people believe it's only a matter of time before their nation, with all its unresolved internal and borderland issues, is warmly embraced too.